time for Holy Grails. This is all of the favorite, best, most used products that I have just adored for the entire calendar year. This is one of my favorite videos that I do. I have done this every year since forever and ever. I feel like this is just a good resource, so I always got you. Hopefully this can be helpful if you want to check out a few new things or just get a good idea of what's actually worth your money. I'm gonna start off with skincare. This is one of my absolute go-tos this year. It's from Tower 28. It's a hypochlorous acid spray. No, you don't necessarily have to get this particular brand. And even if you do buy this, I know that you can get hypochlorous acid spray refills in like larger containers. So I do recommend doing that, but just in general, a hypochlorous acid spray. I've been literally using this every day, twice a day, 3 times a day. Anytime I get a little bit freaked out, my skin is just a little irritated or uncomfortable, I spray this on. It kills all of the extra bacteria that's lingering around that I might not be seeing. It's just a kind of safe skin refresher. Plus, it's my step that I've been using before I put on a bunch of serums just to keep my skin extra clean, and it has saved me from a lot of breakouts. Next, I wanted to talk about 2 of my favorite moisturizers this year. If I'm a little bit more oily, especially during the summertime, I really have been loving this COSRX Oil-Free Ultra Moisturizing Lotion with birch sap. It is, again, oil-free, does not break me out. It's very lightweight, has a really great texture. It does still feel hydrating, but yeah, I think it's best for like normal to oily skin types. And then if you want a little bit extra moisture, but you do also still have like maybe combination skin or acne prone skin, I have really been loving this La Roche-Posay Toleriane. I don't know how to pronounce that, but it's their Double Repair Face Moisturizer. I have repurchased this multiple times. I've gone through many bottles. It's just the perfect creamy gel moisturizer, especially if you have easily sensitive, irritated skin and are breakout prone. I don't always have zits like all the time, but my skin type is just one where I easily will get a zit. So that is why I stick to some of these more sensitive ingredients, and I have been really liking this one. It does have a little bit more of a moisture boost compared to this one, but it's still oil-free. I've mentioned this in a couple other videos, but I've had 2 favorite sunscreens of this year. First of all, I have returned in full force back to Isden Erythritona actinica. Erythritona. I can't pronounce that either, but it is one of my favorite sunscreens of all time, especially if you're a makeup wearer. This one just lays on your skin. It feels like nothing. It smells like nothing. It has a very liquidy, watery texture. It just does a really good job of protecting. It's 100% mineral, so it's what I trust if I get like laser procedures, but honestly, it's what I trust for every day. This one does not pill under makeup at all. This is my everyday sunscreen. I'm super happy that Sephora also started carrying this, so it's so much easier to get now. And then my other favorite is one that I don't know why it took me so long, but this is a Japanese sunscreen. It's Biore UV Aqua Rich. This is SPF 50 PA+++++. This one feels really light and watery. It has some hydration to it, but it doesn't leave like a greasy finish at all. It doesn't smell like sunscreen. I just want to put something on and then forget it was ever there. And this is a really good one on days where I'm not wearing a lot of makeup. It does pill a little bit under makeup. So did my Elta MD, which I also do love. So you have to be a little more careful about padding and how you apply your makeup. But generally on a day-to-day basis, especially on no makeup or low makeup days, this is a wonderful, very affordable option. It's just been popular underground skincare community for like years, so this is very reliable. If you followed me for a while, it should be zero surprise that Mejuri is one of my favorite jewelry brands. I literally designed 3 collections with them in the past. Come on now. A lot of my jewelry is from them, so I am so excited to be collaborating with them for this section of the video. I love their gold, their diamonds. They make such a beautiful range of high quality pieces, and especially if you're into like stacking your jewelry and kind of mixing and matching, they just have so many different cute options. So I wanted to show you some of the pieces I'm wearing right now. These rings, so stunning, and I also love how they can be stacked. So these pieces are 14 karat gold with lab grown diamonds and they are so gorgeous. I'm especially fond of this signet ring in the middle, but honestly you can just get creative and stack them however you want. And there's something really satisfying about how perfectly these two just kind of snug together. I'm also obsessed with this necklace. The little charm hanging down, they actually have a full collection of birthstones and I can put that on my necklace chain, but I can also put it on this bracelet if I wanted to. For earrings, I don't know about you, I'm just like a simple gal, and these little diamond hoops, it just kind of matches everything. I am so obsessed. I've had a lot of my Mejuri pieces for literally years and years. They've held up so well, so if you want to check out any of the pieces that I mentioned, I will have my link in the info box down below. Now I wanted to get into foundations. So one of my favorite special occasion foundations that just photographs so well has to be House Labs. This has such a nice formula. It really wraps onto your face and just has a really good like satin finish. Not too oily and dewy, not too matte. This just looks very, very pretty on the skin, and especially if you're going to be under harsh lights or cameras, it's very, very flattering. I have the shade 190 Light Cool, which runs slightly yellow on me, but it still is a pretty good match. My next favorite foundation is Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk. This is an oldie but a goodie. I find this one to be also flattering on camera, but it's just not quite as heavy as this one. This has been really good for every day if you do want to have a really beautiful date night makeup. It's a medium weight foundation, but it just has a very natural, beautiful, flattering look to it. It's also very flattering with cameras and lights. I've been using the shade 4.5 and I feel like more than most of my other foundations, this has been my everyday go-to. Next, if I need something that is very full coverage, but I also know I'm going to be outside a lot, this is my go-to foundation for forever. It's IT Cosmetics CC. It is very, very, very full coverage, but yet it still has a very flattering finish to it. And it also has SPF 50 if you like a little bit of sun protection at the same time. Again, one of my favorite flawless go-to kind of foundations. And a lot of times when I use this, it's so full coverage. I don't necessarily need to use a ton of it, and I don't necessarily need to use concealer. So it also helps me kind of skip a few steps. The color light is like such a good match for my skin tone too. I also gave my mom one of these and this became her favorite foundation as well. So it's very reliable, especially if you have skin tone unevenness or if you like the extra SPF. For concealers, there's no surprises here. This has been a long time favorite of mine, NARS Creamy Concealer. I feel like it's just always going to be a go-to. But I've also very much been loving this Yensa concealer. This is the Super Serum Silk Concealer. I use shade Light 2, and this has a really beautiful creamy formula. It has really fantastic coverage, and I've also been enjoying using both of these on days where I'm not doing a full foundation face and I just need to like sort of spot conceal here and there and kind of blend it in as a really light, even layer where most of my skin just looks natural. These two have been so good, and especially Yensa. This is an Asian American founded company, so I just find that the shades work really, really well for a broad range of skin tones. The color match is so perfect. For skin tint, I feel like this is the only skin tint I've ever been really obsessed with. Once again, I feel like for many years in a row now, it's gonna be Danessa Myricks Yummy Skin Tint. There's just something about this formula that looks so pretty as soon as I put it on. It has enough coverage where I feel like it's actually doing something. You know, a lot of skin tints, I just feel like, did I do nothing? It looks like water on my skin. That's not true for this one. This does feel lighter than a foundation, but it actually looks more than doing like nothing on your skin. So this just strikes the perfect balance for me. I use shade 4. I absolutely love it. This also does not have SPF, so it looks really flattering on camera. This is just a great go-to on days where I don't want to be having a very heavy finish on my skin. It's a really good everyday kind of finish. For bronzer, this is gonna be another oldie but goodie. I feel like year after year, even if I try different bronzers, I always go back to this one. This is from Rare Beauty. This is their bronzer stick, but specifically, I've been obsessed with the shade Bright Side. This is a cooler tone contour stick, which I find to just look a lot more natural, especially if I'm doing a little bit of like cheek, jawline, nose contouring. It blends out. You can't even tell I'm I'm wearing it, which is ideal for me. This one blends into my skin really looking like actual shadow. It's gray, but it's not too gray where it looks ashy. It's just the perfect tone, and I feel like this is just gonna be a forever repurchase. I will also say other bronzer sticks I've tried come across being too hard and stiff, not blending well, or too waxy, and this is neither. It's the perfect creaminess, but it really kind of blends in very matte without being drying. It's just the ideal texture, so always a forever repurchase. Speaking of bronzer, I don't think this counts as a bronzer, but ever since I got this has really changed my whole routine. This is a tiny little dual-ended highlight and contour stick from ColorGram. They're a Korean company and I am obsessed. I have two different versions of them. One of them has a more matte highlight and the other one is a more shimmer highlight. I literally don't even have a favorite between the two of them. Whichever is close by, I just love it. I love them both. This is the perfect contour stick highlight to do in Aegyossar. And trust me, I have been wanting to experiment more with Aegyossar highlighters for years and just never found one where it looked natural. And this makes it so super easy. I'm using it today. I don't know if you can tell on camera, but I do feel like it gives a more youthful look. It opens my eyes up. When done the right way, it's just fun to do. I can't even explain it. Like, it just makes you look bright and young. It doesn't hurt to have a little bit more of that in our lives, and this has been so easy. Moving on to face highlighters, I have tried many different kinds this year, and I have loved many different ones, but as soon as I bought this Dior Quad, I have barely used anything else. The reason why I feel like this one is so different is because the highlighters here have such a finely milled pearl kind of sheen to it that it looks a little bit more like it's glowing from within versus being a powder sitting on top of your skin. Like, it looks more like a glow. I hate to say it because this was a very pricey purchase and I went into it thinking like, oh, you know, I'm gonna hold myself to a pretty high standard. I'm not just gonna say, oh, I love it because it's Dior. However, the formula really did blow me away. There's a reason why this has been a little bit of a viral product this year. The colors I use the most are the champagne and white ones at the top here. The pink and brown I don't use quite as much just because I usually prefer a more matte bronzer. However, I do love all of them. This palette is so pretty. The highlights have such a great texture. I honestly feel like if you tried this, you're not actually going to be disappointed, which means it's a great product. It's my only highlight pick of the year. Moving on to eyeshadows, this has been my favorite matte palette. Makeup by Mario Master Mattes. This black, first of all, is so pigmented. All of the darker colors really pop. These are super buttery. I feel like everyone who's really into matte neutral eyeshadows, you won't be disappointed with this palette. I've used it so much this year, and I know they've come up with other color stories, but I always come back to this one. In addition to that, I have to mention Danessa Myricks. This is the Groundworks palette, the original one. I do also have the pinky one, which I did have a love affair with, I think, earlier this year. But again, I keep going back to this neutral one, but I use this so much, even on days where I want a softer eyeliner look and I don't want to use like a black liquid line. I use these right here, this brown, this black. They have been so fun to play with. I even have used the lighter colors for like my eyebrows. You can literally do an entire face because there's a pomade side and then a powder side. So there's so many ways you can utilize this all over your face. It just unlocks my creativity, and I just feel like the concept is so unique. Like, I haven't found anything quite like this from any other brand. If you are someone who loves to play with your makeup but still love neutrals, this is one of my favorite things I own. And of course, I can't not mention something from Flower Nose. I just discovered this brand this year. This is a C Beauty brand. The packaging is just next level, stunning, gorgeous. This kind of makeup makes the child in me so happy. It's so glitzy, so glam, so beautiful. And the makeup itself is actually really good. This palette itself has 3 shimmers at the top, and these remind me so much of Urban Decay Space Cowboy. The glitters just really pop. I'm actually wearing this on my eyes today, and I wear it frequently. This has been one of my go-to daily palettes as well. The neutrals are actually super wearable. They have other palettes that have a little bit more exciting colors if you're not a neutral person, but if you're wanting a palette from Flower Nose and you do like your everyday neutral browns, this is a good one to pick up. Okay, for eyebrows, I feel like the one standout for me all year has been from Hourglass. This is the Arch Brow Pencil, the original size. I love the angled pencil itself. It's not too hard. It just applies so fast and so easy, but mainly my favorite thing is the spoolie side. It has enough density, but it's also kind of soft. It brushes through the brows so easily. It just makes the whole process so fast and easy. And my favorite color that I've been using is Soft Brunette. What a beautiful brow pencil. I love this so much. For mascaras, I wanted to talk about 3 favorites. First of all, Clio Kill Lash. This is always going to be on hand for me. I don't ever want to be without this mascara. I just want something that makes my lashes stand up straight long after I have curled them. This one has little fibers in them, so you get a lot of extra length as well. It's just a really reliable mascara if you have downward pointing straight curl resistant lashes. They have a few different formulas, but the one with the red cap is my favorite. Just makes your lashes like super long. But 2 that I discovered that I've liked a little bit more for like pinpoint lashes, like when I want really clean, long, perfected lash look, because you know sometimes there are days where you want that. I've really loved the Judy Doll Curling Iron Mascara. It's the one that has like no bristles. It's just like a metal wand. Kind of looks like a screw shape, but it oddly coats the lashes really well and doesn't smudge on my eyes as much because the bristles aren't like poking my skin. I absolutely love that. It does a great job with holding lashes up. And then also the Mood Multi Fixer. This is a Korean brand and the brush is teeny tiny. Again, it's almost the size of the curling iron mascara, but it does have bristles. If you like having those perfect K-pop pinpoint perfected kind of lashes that are super long and super held up, this is really great for detail work, and it's also really nice for making the lower lashes look long and clean as well. Those are all super great if you have oily eyelids too. They do not budge. I feel like I've come such a long way from my false eyelash ban that I did because I was getting an allergy to the glues. I've now fully converted to putting on the lashes underneath my natural lashes using just a regular lash glue. These have been my favorite go-to lash set. It's from a brand called Linkis. I think I found this on Amazon. It has 8 to 16 millimeters. So generally most of the lashes are quite short. They're very flattering and very pretty for Asian eyelid shapes, which tend to be a little smaller and need shorter false eyelashes. I'm wearing just a couple pairs on the edges of my eyes today, and I feel like it's so flattering and so pretty. The shape of this particular set is very natural and gorgeous. I feel like I still have to give a shout out to NARS Power Matte Lip Pigment. This is something that I use on days where I want things to transfer 0%. So if I have to wear a mask, if I have to like kiss on my kids and not get lipstick all over them, Power Matte Lip Pigment has just been a long time go-to, and I still have used it so much this year because I've really been into this like ombre red lip. Just whatever red on hand NARS has is what I've been grabbing, but yeah. Love that. I've also been very into lip tints, like Korean style lip tints, and this has been my favorite one of all of the many that I've tried this year. This is from Peripera. This is their Ink Mood Glowy Lip Tint. This is in the shade 12. Look how cute it is. It has a little bow, but the color is such a good everyday color. It's like just the perfect like pinky, mauvey, MLBB kind of color. Because of the formula, you get a long-lasting tint that even after the gloss goes away, it still stays on, but you do get the glossy hydrating layer on top. If you're a lazy gal with your lips and you just want something that kind of looks like it's there all day, this is a great one. In terms of just having a glossy lip though, this has been another one of my favorites. Again, it's from Yensa. This is the Luxe Lip Oil. I have this in a few different colors, and it just feels really nourishing and hydrating hydrating on the lips, but plus it still gives you a really great color. This one is more of like a neutral brown kind of shade, which is super perfect for every day, but I also have like a pink one I really love. And then if I want something that's a little bit more like a colored balm, there are so many different kinds on the market, but I've really been enjoying this Polite Society one specifically in the color Bumbleberry, which is a mauvey tone. It's very hydrating, very nourishing, makes my lips feel very plumped up, juicy, and I feel like it lasts kind of a pretty long time. This is another wonderful everyday kind of lip tone, and it's a little bit on the cooler side, being kind of like a purpley mauve color. So this one is a really good one for neutral to cool girlies. I'm always gonna be an Aquaphor girl, but I really have been loving the Fenty Beauty Plush Puddin'. I have this in a couple of different flavors, and they are all excellent. I have them stashed every different place where my lips might get dry. So like there's one on my vanity, there's one on my bedside, there's one at my office desk. I want these everywhere because they make my lips feel so hydrated, so plush. It's not greasy feeling, it's not like sticky, it just feels super nourished. It lasts a long time. I have loved every single flavor that I've tried. This one is the cherry-ish one, which I do also love, but my favorite is probably the melon one. These plush puddings are so good, especially if you have dry lips. For makeup setting spray, my one that has been my go-to the entire year has been from Benefit Cosmetics. It's the Professional. What I love about this is the mist is super fine. Like, it barely feels like anything, but I can kind of taste it, but I barely feel anything on my face. It just sets it without having those big splotches of water spots on your face that I would sometimes get with other brands. It's a beautiful fine mist, and it helps my makeup to last all day and not like transfer on anything. It also doesn't make my skin look overly shiny, but it doesn't mattify either. It just is a nice satiny kind of finish, which is my preferred finish. Moving on to hair, I have really been into my new dry shampoo. This one is from DAE, and it is the Fairy Duster Dry Shampoo. The formula is on the drier side, as it should be. It's a dry shampoo. It does make my hair feel very dry, which is a good thing, kind of. But what I really love about this one is the container. This is such an innovative container for dry shampoo because it really dispenses the right amount of product and makes it so easy. This is non-aerosol, but if I just push this top part here, do you see that? It just kind of like makes a nice little dusting of dry shampoo. This is so easy to apply. Does a great job of sucking up all of the oil. I don't know, I just hate spray can dry shampoos because it makes your hair feel kind of sticky and thick. So this doesn't do that. It's, I would say, a 7 out of 10 in terms of the actual formula, just because it does make my hair a little bit thicker than I want it to feel. Ideally, I like a dry shampoo where it doesn't feel like anything. But my favorite ones have all been discontinued. The packaging though, 10 out of 10. I love this. This is so good for especially when you travel. This has been my go-to dry shampoo just because the container of it makes it so easy and satisfying to use. For heat protectant, this has been my go-to. It is BB Hairdresser's Invisible Oil. I have really been loving this before I blow dry my hair, before I curl it. I feel like with my current haircut, I've been doing a lot more work with my Dyson Airwrap than I used to. I gave it kind of a bad rap the first couple of years I owned it, but I think it's just because my particular bang style wasn't suitable for the Airwrap at the time, and this current cut where I have a lot of like curtainy bangs, it makes it so fast and so easy, and I always use this beforehand. I feel like it definitely does protect it because one day I used my Airwrap without it and I feel like I could smell my hair singed a little bit. Kind of freaked me out, and I was like, okay, I'm always going to use a hair protectant, always. I've learned my lesson, and I feel like this does a good job in actually protecting my hair without making it feel gunky or heavy. I just basically don't feel it even if I use a fair amount. Obviously, I already mentioned this, but I have to put my Airwrap in this video because yeah, I just like didn't use it as much as I probably should have when I first bought it. It took a long time for me to feel really comfortable with using this and really feeling convinced that it was actually saving me time versus just blow drying my hair roughly and then using a curling iron, which I was already so used to. I got the upgraded wand where you just have to twist this this to change the direction that the air flows, and I feel like it's already saved me a lot of time. Plus, with curtain bangs, I swear, like this, if I just do it this way, they always look good. They always look perfectly blown out. I'm kind of more into a looser blowout kind of curl versus like prom curls. So this has been such a great tool for that. It really gives that like soft, fluffy, voluminized kind of look. I'm sorry, Airwrap, that I ever doubted you. You're my favorite and I've been using you so much lately. However, when I do use a traditional curling iron, I always go back to the T3 curling irons. This is so good and so fast and so easy. It never snags my hair. It makes curling my hair so quick because it heats up very quickly. I feel like there's just no extra buttons I accidentally knock. It's beautiful. It's well designed. So sometimes I just feel like a tool that has a single use but is like really designed well for that one use, sometimes it's the best product of all, like something that just does its job, and this is that girl. Okay, for fragrances, I have two that I've been using so much this year. First of all, I've loved my Gucci Flora Gorgeous Gardenia for a while now. This is such a beautiful spring summer fragrance. I have jasmines that grow outside the walkway in front of my house, and this has that beautiful jasmine kick to it. It just reminds me of walking outside by those white flowers, but it still has a little hint of sweetness because it has pear in it as well, which I love pear. I've always loved pear. When I was in high school, Pearberry was my signature scent. So this is like a much more grown-up version of that. If you do like pear and white flower, definitely try this one out. It's so lovely. Shock among shock. One of my most used perfumes has been this Target dupe of Tom Ford Lost Cherry. I really fell in love with Lost Cherry a year ago. When I had Ben, my husband, smell it, he was like, "You smell like a fireplace. It's too smoky for me." And then I went down a rabbit hole looking for something that had that cherry kick, but a little bit less of that smoky, heavy kind of scent to it. And then I landed on so many people saying that this was a wonderful, beautiful scent. This is called Finery, Not Another Cherry. So I tried it out, and from the first sniff, this was everything I wanted a cherry scent to be. It has the almond, the sort of maraschino cherry. It's warm, it's cozy. It reminds me of Christmas, but without the cinnamon. More of like a grown-up fruity, if that makes sense. It's so wonderful. It doesn't give me a headache. I love how this one smells. Even more than the original. I loved the original, but if my husband doesn't like being around it, like obviously, finding something that works for both of us was very ideal. Plus, this was so affordable for a giant container. I love this scent. If you like cherry fragrances, you have to smell this. That is it for all of my favorites this year. Thank you guys so much for watching. You don't know how much it means to me, to my new subscribers who are watching this now, to my old ones who have been watching these Holy Grails every single year. It brings me such joy to do these. I hope it also is helpful for you guys. Please feel free to subscribe if you're seeing me for the first time. I love you so much, and I will see you in my next video.